Hello, guys.
Hello
Good
guys, good
evening.
evening.
Good evening,
Good evening,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much
joining
for
us
joining us
today.
today.
Apologies for
Apologies for
starting
starting
um,
um,
by this time.
by
I
this
think
time.
we
I
are
think we are
17 minutes
17
late,
minutes late,
right? So
right?
we're having
So we're having
some technical
some
issues, and
technical
that is
issues, and
why
that is why
it took us
it
that long
got
to
that
come
long to
live.
come live.
But
But
notwithstanding,
notwithstanding,
you are still going
we
to
are
be
still
able
going
to
to
get
be able to
the
get
same
the
level
same
of
level of
value,
value,
right, that
right?
we were supposed
That
to
we were
get, even
supposed to
we
get
started by
started
6
by
p.m.
6 p.m.
on the dot.
on the dot.
So thank
So
you so much for
thank you so
joining
much
us.
for
So if you are
joining us.
just
If
joining
you are
us,
just
please
joining us,
do well
please
to
do
comment
well
where
to
you are
comment
streaming
where
from
you are
in the
streaming
comment
from the
section.
comment section.
Comment where you are
Comment
streaming
where
from
you
in
are
the
streaming
comment
from
section,
the
and do
comment
well to
section,
share
and do
this
well
live
to share
stream
this
to
live
as
stream
many
to
as
as many as
possible.
possible.
Share this live stream
Share
to
this
your
live
family
stream to
and
your family
friends.
and friends.
Share the live stream
Share
with
the
your
live
family
stream
and
with your
friends
family
and
and friends
comment
and
where you are
comment
streaming
where you are
from.
streaming from.
So my name is
So my name
Emmanuel
is
Jacob,
Emmanuel
and I'm going
Jacob,
to be
and I'm
your
going to be
host,
your
or
host,
I'm your
or I'm
host
your
for
host
today's
for
live
today's
stream.
live
Then
stream.
I have
Then I
a
have
guest
a
speaker
guest
in our
speaker
midst.
in our
His
midst.
name is
His
Hope
name is
Havat,
Hope Albert,
Hovat rather,
Albert
and he's
rather,
going
and
to
he's going to
introduce himself
introduce himself
once
what
is about
is
to
about
start.
to
So
start.
today we
So
want
today
to
we
look
want to
at
look at
understanding
understanding
IEO. So what
IEO.
exactly
So
is
what
IEO?
exactly is
IEO
IEO?
is short for
IEO is short for
initial
initial
exchange offering,
exchange
right? Initial
offering,
exchange offering is
right? Initial
actually a
exchange offering
moment
is actually
where
a moment where
cryptocurrency projects
cryptocurrency projects
come in and
come
offer
in
their
and offer
cryptocurrencies
their
at
cryptocurrencies
sometimes a
at
reduced
sometimes
rate
a reduced
to
rate
investors
to
using
investors using
sometimes centralized or
sometimes
decentralized
centralized or
cryptocurrency
decentralized
exchanges
cryptocurrency
for
exchanges for
this offering, and people,
offering, and people,
investors,
investors,
traders are able to
traders
buy
are
in,
able to buy
hoping to
in,
sell
hoping to
once
sell
the
once
IEO
the
is
IEO
over.
is
All right.
over.
So
All right.
I'm
So
actually going
I'm
to
actually going to
leave the stage for
leave
our
the
guest
stage for
speaker,
our guest speaker,
and I
and
trust is going
I
to
trust is going
take
to
you
take
deeper
you deeper
into understanding
into
what an
understanding what
IEO
an
is
IEO
and
is
the
and
opportunities
the
that revolves
opportunities that
around it.
revolves
So in
around
the
it.
course of
So in the course
this
of this
live stream,
live
I
stream,
implore you
I
to
implore you
get a
to
writing
get the right
material
material
and write
and
down
write
some
down
stuffs
some
that is going
stuff
to
that is going to
help you in your
help you
crypto
in
trading
your
and
crypto trading
investment
and investment
journey.
journey.
So if you're just
So
joining
if you're
us,
just
like I
joining
said earlier,
us,
please do well to
like I
comment
said,
where you are
they
streaming
are
from.
still well to comment where
I
you are
am
streaming
streaming
from.
from
I
Ekiti,
am
Akwa Ibom
streaming
State,
from
while
Akwa
Hope
State,
over is
while
streaming from
Cool over
Uyo,
streaming
Akwa
from
Ibom State. So
Uyo,
comment where you
Akwa
are
State.
streaming
So
from.
comment where you are
So
streaming from.
Hope
So
I hand over
hope I have
the
the
stage for you.
stage for you.
So you can
So
start.
you can start. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hope Pavats, and I'm a crypto enthusiast, business developer, and I'm popularly known as Crypto Priest in the space. I'm the founder of Skyroll Academy and co-founder of other blockchain projects in Nigeria and in Africa. All right. So today we'll be talking about we'll be going through the introduction to initial exchange offerings. All right. So initial exchange offering is abbreviated IEO. It is a common word that is mostly used in the crypto space, right, to describe tokens that are being distributed, like new cryptocurrencies that are being distributed to either a set of investors, right, or a wider public. All right, so IEO is not a new word or is not a new system in the cryptocurrency space because we've heard a couple of times about ICO. Now, ICOs are initial coin offering. Now, there are no much difference between initial coin offering and initial exchange offering. In other words, you can refer IEO to be launchpads, right? So launchpad is actually the process where new tokens are being listed. Before new tokens are listed, an opportunity is given to investors to buy that token at a discounted rate. All right. Now, the offerings are being given to limited persons, not given to all or everybody. Now, most times, everyone who participates in launchpad activities end up not having the tokens distributed to them. Why? Because there's an algorithm used in selecting persons who are eligible to get those tokens. Now, same thing is applied to ICO, right? I'm going to be using ICO because I feel ICO is a bit popular. Most persons have done a lot of ICOs before the IEO came about. So ICOs, when I participated in ICOs, we were given contract address. Now, ICOs are done on decentralized platforms, right? Mostly on decentralized platforms. Like we have some ICOs companies or issuers, like forgotten the name, forgotten the name of that company, right? So we've done a lot of ICOs through those platforms. I've also created my own project where we did an ICO as well through that decentralized platforms, right? So initial exchange offering is not far from what ICOs are, okay? So I'll be diving into what we'll be learning tonight or this evening. Okay, so I've been able to define briefly what IEO is. So it is, in a layman's term, I would say IEO is these are tokens that are offered at discounted rate or distributed at a discounted rate to certain investors or to the public. Okay, so the next we have here is a comparison to initial coin offering and initial exchange offering. So
Sorry about that. I feel he's having network issues. So I also want to add that you make sure you gather your questions and drop it in the comments box, as we are going to be answering any question that you have in regarding to what we are going to be discussing this evening, as well as questions that revolves around IE.
sorry about that. My network is a bit bad here. Sorry about that. All right. So the difference between ICO and the IEO, I'm going to explain that briefly. By the time we get to the advantages and the disadvantages, that is when you will be able to understand the differences more between the IEO and the ICOs. Right. Now, how does IEO work? Now let's take an overview of the process, including the listing on a cryptocurrency exchange and token purchase. Now let's consider the process involved in listing IEOs, all right, to know how IEOs works. Now initial exchange offering are basically are tokens listed on centralized platforms, right? Centralized platforms like exchanges like Binance, KuCoin, to mention but a few. All right, so those are platforms that basically conduct IEOs like this. All right, you can call them Launchpad. Now, before any token is being listed, now there's a particular page on every exchange where these activities are being carried out. Okay, so in order to participate, it means you need to be updated with what is being posted on that IEO page, right, on any exchange. Now, the first stage involved is the announcement. After the announcement, you then be asked to commit your token. Sometimes you'll be asked to commit a particular token into that IEO, all right, the activity that is about going on, right? So, like for Binance, Binance would allow you to only commit your BNB and not USDT. In some exchanges, you'll be allowed to commit your USDT or any token they prefer in that exchange. That is what you're going to be needing to, go about with the IEO activities. Now, it's been given into the period which you can, go into uh, committing your token or your assets into this IEO is being determined by what the exchanges decide. All right. So sometimes, once you are given the opportunity to commit your assets or your investments that day, that token will be listed that same day. Then sometimes, once you commit, it will be listed, let's say, over a week or a few days later. All right. So it depends on the conditions that follows that particular token that is about to be listed into that exchange. Now, if I may ask you, why do you really need an IEO? All right, so IEO is a way of raising capital for some tokens, right? There are some projects that don't really have much capital to be raised or to raise or to really push their project, and the only way out is to go into the IEO, that listing their assets on these exchanges before time, right? So before it gets listed, now this token will be given to many persons at a discounted rate. Many persons want to hop in, okay? Many persons want to hop in because it's being given at a discounted rate. Now, by the time it gets listed, the price tends to go higher than the price you bought. Why? Because they need to give room for their investors, their early investors, to make profit off the market. Okay, let's move further. All right, so the next is the role of the exchanges as a gatekeeper and the centralized exchange. One of the role there is security. Okay, because before any exchange list any project, now they tend to go through some checks, right, to make sure that project is viable enough to be for them to list that exchange or that token on their exchange. Now you can't just go about listing any exchange. So sorry, listing any token, okay? Because there are some tokens that after listing and the tokens start dumping. I've seen a lot of these happening in decentralized platforms where ICOs are being conducted, where tokens are being listed, and all of a sudden, investors who invested their money early enough during the ICOs offering, as the initial coin offering, end up losing their funds. By right, it's not meant to be so because as an early investor who got in at a discounted rate, you're supposed to get out of the market at a rate higher than the price you bought. Okay, but basically, in most ICOs I've done in the past, I end up not selling at even close to the buy price. All right, so that is how frustrating it is. But when you do your IEOs or you go into partaking in Launchpad on centralized platforms, now the exchange go through some basic check. All right, they make sure the investors don't end up complaining about that asset or don't end up losing their funds. Okay, so that is one of the security and one of the role exchanges play in listing of products or assets, all right, on Launchpad. And then also one of the role they play is the liquidity, right? They play a liquidity role. Now, as an exchange tend to go into an agreement between, an agreement is meant to be given between the token listers, like the owners of the token, and the exchange. All right, so that agreement must be met before that token will be listed. And in order for that agreement to be met, now the token has, sorry, the exchange needs to also provide some liquidity for that asset. Okay, that will help in making the price of that asset to really be stable a bit, all right, and not fluctuating like most of the assets we see on decentralized platforms. Okay, so let's move further. Let's go into the advantages and disadvantages of IEOs. Now, the advantages of IEOs is one, the security involved. Now, the security being that exchanges tend to go through the necessary check and to conduct to know if that particular asset is viable enough to be listed on their platform. Because most times, if that asset don't go as planned, people are going to complain. And that spoils business, and people may not come back coming to partake in Launchpad or be listed on any of those platforms, right? So they really need to make sure investors are safe with their investment, all right? And then the liquidity is one of the advantages, right, given to listing your asset on Launchpad or IEOs, right, on centralized platforms. Now the disadvantage there is sometimes after buying these assets, being that your asset is being listed or assets are being listed on centralized platform, don't guarantee you of having high returns. Okay, you may end up not selling at a good price. Why? Because it is a volatile asset. What you'll be trading are volatile assets, so there should be a risk involved in trading assets as cryptocurrencies. Okay, so sometimes you end up not selling at a good price, sometimes you end up selling at loss, right? Sometimes you end up making profit. So that is one of the advantage that is added to that comes with listing of assets on Launchpad. All right. Now, one of the pros is the increase in credibility and investors protection, right? Because when you list your your asset, or when assets are being listed through Launchpad, people tend to trust that asset so much. Okay, it is normal. You tend to trust the asset because it will be like, for example, Binance wants to list a token. Now, it will be like Binance really backs this token, or Binance are the ones pushing this token or are in support of this token. So it helps in increasing the credibility and investors' protection. And one of the disadvantages is the cons is such as manipulation. There are so many manipulation in the market. Sometimes the exchange does the manipulation, all right? And then there's also a lack of regulatory oversight. Now, one thing I need to also explain better is the manipulation in the market. Like for those who are traders, if you understand the SMC, that's the smart money concept. Now, each time any asset is being listed on any exchange, there's an agreement between the exchange and the asset owners. Now, they're going to sell off at a given price. Why? Because that exchange are being given some of those tokens, right? They get some of the tokens, so they need to sell in profit and leave the rest for retail traders to come in and start, leveraging in the market price change. All right, so there are some potential manipulations in the market, and there's also a lack of regulatory oversight. There's also what is known as in the stocks market. Is it? I've forgotten the name. I'm trying to remember. Is initial IPO? I think so. IPO. That's for the stocks market. Now, the stocks market, their IPO is regulated. All right, it's regulated because the government backs it. All right, so there's a regulatory oversight over such assets. But for the cryptocurrency, the ICOs most times are not regulated. The IEOs are not regulated. So going in there is like you going to play a risky game. Okay, so apart from the disadvantages, there are a lot of opportunities in venturing into Launchpad. All right, because some of the tokens listed there tend to do 10x, and sometimes tend to do 2x, 1x. Right, it depends on the project. Okay, so platforms that you should consider on participating in Launchpad are one, Binance. Why Binance? Binance has large users, and Binance has large liquidity, and Binance is one of the most trusted exchange in the world. And then we also have UOB. We also have other exchanges which you can participate or go on their Launchpad. Now, you don't just go for Launchpad because it is Launchpad. There are some exchanges that don't even have the liquidity to even make you come out of that Launchpad trade in profit. Okay, so before going into it, you need to consider the exchange which you are, going to participate in that Launchpad. So many exchanges offer Launchpad. Some don't even have enough liquidity, and then by the time you go in and the market is or the asset is being listed, you end up losing funds instead of making money. All right, I've participated in so many Launchpads, and then I've made some profits from the Launchpad. Now, in order to follow Launchpad, though we have a platform under a branch of a Skyroll Academy, which is SkyTrade, where we offer we share updates regarding Launchpad and the IEOs. All right, so for those who may be interested, you can join our platform. All right, so we share updates for free, where you can get when an asset will be listed on any exchange. All right, when you can access the IEOs, when you should go in and when you should sell. All right, so we also offer that services for free. So each time you're about going into any or participating in any IEO or any Launchpad, you need to follow the information, follow the news. Now, how to get legit news is from following that platform, that exchange on their Twitter handles. All right, Binance have their Twitter handle. Every other exchange have their Twitter handle. Check the posts posted there regarding IEOs or Launchpad. Now, follow the date. Now, if they are going to release or grant access to people to start investing into the IEOs, now you should be able to be on standby and get in quite early enough, right? In order for you to be shortlisted to get the token, because not everybody, most times they allocate the tokens to about 1,000 persons out of 5,000 persons who participated or who committed their tokens into getting into that launch pad. So you need to be early, all right? So if they're going to release or open the trading time by 8 a.m., now you should be on or standby by 7. All right, get your funds ready. Now, if it is BNB, Binance like using BNB for their launchpad because BNB is Binance native token. So some exchange use USDT, some use any token of your choice. All right, so you need to fund your wallet or your exchange account or your exchange wallet with that particular token. Now,
Hope, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, my network got disconnected again.
Okay, continue.
All right, so you need to follow up the updates in order for you to stay on the line because sometimes you may just get the news and you tend to forget when to go into the market. So you need to be on standby always in order to get into. Now you can just be a launch part trader, basically a launch part trader without doing any form of SMC or other form of trading. Just what you do is following the fundamentals. Fundamentals are the necessary news about Launchpad, specifically about Launchpad. You follow the news and information on every exchange. Now, fund your account when necessary and go into the Launchpad when it is time. Okay, so you could be making a lot of money trading just launch pads, all right, listed tokens. All right, so that is one of the form of trading that most of you should, consider this year. It is very profitable. And why being profitable? You should also have it in mind that you can also lose money as well because by the time that token gets listed, sometimes it gets dumped, right? The exchange will manipulate the assets. I've told you guys about the manipulation involved in ICOs or IEOs. So the exchange may end up manipulating the market by dumping on you guys, right? So you need to be smart always. And one of the things we do tell our students, I'm also a trader. One of the things I tell my students is don't wait till you see the profit that your mind wants you to get. All right. So sometimes if you see $10, $10 is enough money that you can use in at least surviving for the day. If you participate in any IEO and then you're able to make about $10 from the initial investment you made, now it is enough for you to even pull out. Don't wait till you have 20x or 50x. Or if you don't want to pull out at once, you can pull out 50% of your capital, or sometimes you pull out 20% and wait and see if the rest is going to multiply or turn to 10x or 2x based on what you want. Okay, but don't stay too long in the market because the exchanges are going to sell off when at the price where they want to sell, while leaving the rest for the retail trader. So it's an opportunity for those who are able to participate in this launch pad because they are going in and also having the opportunity to sell where the exchanges have also placed their price to sell. Okay, because by the time the exchange dumps, the market falls and then start flowing in a normal order. Okay. All right. So in summary, we need to look at the potential future development in IEOs. IEOs have actually outshined ICOs. Before, we do hear about ICOs, 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 but today, most persons are talking about IEOs. Why? Because of the security, because of the advantage of using IEOs. Most ICOs end up not working out well. You go into buying, I can remember many ICOs I've participated in. I've wasted a lot of money in many ICUs and they end up not having anything back. All right, because there are no much checks and process involved in verifying these projects if they are viable enough for the investors to go into it. Okay, so that is why we are now sticking to IEOs. All right, it's been long I haven't heard about ICOs. The little ones I hear about, I don't even think of investing in it. But I prefer investing in IEOs, right, because of the advantage. So I'm giving you guys go ahead, but remember risk management. You need to be very, very cautious of that. You need to take your risk management very, very important. Okay. So you can go into IEOs, Launchpad, and participate in the available opportunities given to you in all the centralized exchanges. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel.
All right, thank you so much for that. That was massive. So there is this thing I noticed about IEOs, right? And
Okay.
I think I have come to conclude that before one could be able to make it big from IEO, one should be able to have a reasonable amount of money, because in the case of Binance, right, most of the IEOs, if you want to participate in it, you will have to lock some of your BNB for a certain period of time. Oh, sorry, before I continue, please, if you have any question, do well to drop it in the comments below. Drop your questions in the comments below, and we are going to give you answers to that. Comments that revolves around IEO, as well as what has been discussed so far. So, like I said earlier, that one needs maybe a reasonable amount of money, because most of the times, if one is able to be eligible for these IEOs, one should, I think they used to only give someone a little percentage of what they were locking in order to participate in the IEO. Like sometimes, it's usually maybe 1%, 10%, and so on and so forth. Do you get my what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Now,
So
what? Yeah.
unlike ICOs, when we used to participate in ICO, I can remember in the year 2018, where you choose any amount of money you want to use in buying a particular IEO. But recently, I think before one could be able to participate in IEO, you may probably maybe lock up like maybe $1,000, and you end up getting tokens worth of $100 or even less most of the time. And it's all very ridiculous if someone is locking up like maybe $100, because you may end up getting like um maybe $10 or even less worth of the tokens. So what can you advise in this aspect? To What is your advice to someone that has a very little capital and wants to participate in IEOs?
Okay. All right. That's a very good question. Now, before you participate in any IO, like I said, you need to read carefully the information is given pertaining to that asset that is going to be listed on that launchpad. Now, they are going to give you the amount of tokens that are to be distributed, and then they will also list out the amount of tokens that are going to be listed per that is going to be like the price of that token when it's going to be listed. Okay. Now, in order for you to know if you should participate in that ICO or the IEO, now you should know the total supply that is going to be available for the participants. Okay, sometimes it's always very small, and those who tend to go in end up not even getting enough. And it doesn't happen in most platforms, but some platforms end up cheating the investors, not in any platform. So if you've had any platform that after buying with, let's say, $100, like he explained, I end up getting lesser token, which the value ends up not even being up to what you invested, then you shouldn't follow that exchange for their next ICO. All right. First thing, you should consider the token allocated that is going to be allocated for that particular activity. That will help you determine if you will get enough of it or not.
No, I still feel you didn't get. You've given actually a right response, but I feel you did not get my question. Like, not
Okay,
that they are not like they are going to carry your balance, right? I think
okay,
they usually allocate. For instance, you were locking up $100 on an
okay,
exchange like, then when they are doing distribution of these tokens, they are just allowing you to participate using 10% of your money. which 10% of $100 is $10. They
Ten
allow you
dollar.
to just $10, and they at the end of the IEO, you are going to be able to um they return your this in the remaining $90
Any
as
balance? Yes.
well. Yes. So my question is, someone that has maybe just $50 and 50, 70, $100, is it even advisable for them to consider investing in any of these IEOs?
No, no, no. IEO is actually for people with high capital. It's not for
Okay.
the small capital because the least I've participated, the least IEO I've participated is $100. Recently, Binance even reduced their IEO, the minimum, to about is it $100 or so. Then the highest, the minimum was about I think it was 5 BNB, the first IEO I participated. That was around 2019. It was about 5 BNB, which if you don't have up to 5 BNB, you can't even go into it. Okay, so IEOs are not for the small capital holders, all right, for people with above $100. But for ICOs give you the opportunity to, go in with the little capital you have. But for IEOs, it is different. So for those with low capitals, I think you just have to increase your capital and join others in the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So, can you tell us the difference between IEO and IEO Launchpad? Sorry, IEO is actually Launchpad.
Actually, launch
IEO
for you.
Pay Launch and which other one again? There's this particular this thing. Okay, private sale. Yes. What's the difference between IEO um Pay Launch and private sale?
Public and private sale.
Sorry.
I didn't get you.
Okay, I'm asking the difference between IEO, fair launch, and private sale.
Okay. Now for the private sale, is actually an opportunity given to you to is more like ICO, right? It's more like ICO or IEO, where you're given an opportunity to buy this token at a discounted rate. That's a private sale. All right. Then the fair launch. Fair launch is like public sale, right? Mostly listed on decentralized platform where everybody get into the exchange after the public sales have bought the token. All right, so fair launch is more like the public sale.
All right, thank you so much for that. So, one of our viewers has just dropped a question, and the question
Okay.
is, please, I have a question about buy trade token BTT. They did a pre-sale and they would be listed February, as they said. Many think it's going to dump when it's listed. What do you think I do on listing?
Okay, now BTT is already a tradable asset. Buy trade token. Okay, this is different from BitTorrent. Is BTT also BitTorrent, Mr. Emmanuel?
Yeah, yes, yes. Abbreviation for BitTorrent is BTT.
Then we are also having BTT as buy trade token. Now, for this is different from now what he's asking here is actually a listing question, not really IEO or launchpad question. Now, for the listing, of course, now if you have the opportunity to participate in the private sale of this token, then you end up selling as the as the exchange are going to be selling, still at the same price, the exchange are going to be listing that asset. But for the listing, now once it gets listed, of course, those who bought in very early need to dump on you for the retail traders to start, trading the market once it is launched. The reason why exchanges or the reason why token gets dumped upon listing, it is for those who bought early enough to sell off in order for the retail traders to start trading. That is the reason. So of course, it's supposed to dump after listing at some point.
All right. So let me add to that, right? His question is many things is going to done when listed, but what do you think? Nobody I can actually predict what exactly is going to happen for a particular token, right? And that is why you need to know how to manage your risk, right? Should in case it dumps. So, for instance, if the launch is at a good price, what I would advise you is you should sell, and luckily, if the price keep on going up, then you sell the profit you were holding in the long run. And if it is a token that has good use cases, what I mean by good use cases is that if it has a real life problem it's solving, and you believe that definitely over time this particular token is going to be a sought after, and if it is a sought after token, then definitely you are going to be able to make a reasonable amount of money from your holding in the long run and allow it to ride. But what one important thing is that if you are lucky enough to make some profits, and upon this profit you are able to sell 50% of your holdings, that is you've removed your capital, then you have nothing to lose at the end of the day, even if that particular cryptocurrency goes south in the long run, right? And you could be able to use your capital which you've removed from the coin, and you can be able to sorry and you can be able to remove your capital. Since you are able to remove your capital, then you can allow it to run as long as possible. Okay, so another question is, so do you advise I sell off 50% of my token upon listing? Yes, that is actually what I was trying to explain, right? You can sell off 50%. If it has done maybe 2x, you can sell off 50% and remove your capital. Or even if it gives you 50% profit, you can remove your capital and allow the rest to ride. Or even if it has given you like maybe less than 50% and you want to preserve your capital, you can remove it, or you remove half of the money you invested in and allow the rest to ride, depending if it's actually going to give you more profit in the future or thereabouts. So I think we no longer have any question again. So Hope, I really do appreciate you for your time and the value you've been able to share with us. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We are so much grateful. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for the opportunity as well. Grateful.
All right, so to our viewers out there, we are going to come your way again next week, Thursday, same time, same channel. If you are yet to subscribe, please do well to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe. And if you are yet to share this video with your family and friends, please do well to do so. And if you have any question pending when you are going to see this video, please do well to drop it in the comments below. Then I'm going to do justice for that. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Hope, once again. I appreciate. So
All right.
goodbye.